Most of you all were at the press conference and you know the situation at that point. At that time, as I stated, we were working on a restraining order to keep an agreement between Resource Development and the Houston County Commission from being violated. We were able to get that done I think about 1:30 this morning. We got an order basically stating that it is ordered that defendant David Barber and all persons or entities acting in concert with him upon notice of this order are hereby enjoined from taking actions to interfere with the charity bingo operation at Country Crossing in Houston County, including the seizure of electronic bingo machines. This is signed by Judge McLaughlin. This order is based on the case that took place 3 or 4 weeks ago that involved, or maybe have been longer than that actually, that involved the bond certification hearing for the districts out here. And the order basically says that an attempt to shut this down will interfere with the ability for those bonds to be paid back. All of our local judges recused themselves in that proceeding, so Judge McLaughlin was assigned by the Supreme Court as the judge in that case, and so we went to him for this order tonight. We don't, we personally handed this to David Barber at the State Trooper Station on 231 North 30 minutes ago, along with every official state trooper and ABC folks, and anybody that was in there got a copy of it. And so we feel they've been properly served. It's our belief that any attempt now to come out here tonight would be in direct violation of a court order and will be treated as such.
What did Mr. Barber, what was his reaction?
He asked a couple of questions about the judge. He reviewed the order and he said, okay, thank y'all. So we left.
Who was there at the time those papers were served?
Well, there were 12 or so state officials, Mr. Barber and several state troopers, ABI, I believe. I'm not really sure about the agency, but and then I was there with Attorney Gary Scherer and Pat Jones, his partner representing the county. Matt Parker was there, and Will Somerville representing head of the operators out here. Will followed me out here. I thought he might be here, but
did they in fact have 18-wheelers?
it's my understanding, I didn't see them, but it's my understanding there were 30 or so cars assembled at the rest area on just south of Ozark. There were, as I said, a dozen or so officers at the state trooper's office. I didn't see any 18-wheelers, but it appears that everything else that we heard about the impending raid at 4 o'clock was in fact true. So I would suggest that those 18-wheelers are somewhere.
And when are the doors going to open back up?
Can't answer that. It's really sad to stand here and look at this dark facility out here and knowing that because of this, it could have been handled so differently and so much easier that they had to send all these employees home, and that as county officials, we've got an agreement for economic development out here, and that was basically interfered with, and so now you've got a dark facility behind you that would normally be employing several hundred people.
Explain.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, Brianna.
I was just going to say, we don't know if they're getting paid for this leave of absence. I mean, people are supposed to be on the schedule right now working.
No idea. That's a question for HEDA and Country Crossing, because the employees in there, some work for HEDA and some work for Country Crossing.
How much is that bond issue?
A bond issue? I believe the issue, I don't want to give you wrong information, Lance, because I don't really know for sure. I believe it could be up to $70 million. I don't think that much was used or was planning to be used. And again, I keep asking if Will is here, but I don't see him. But I think that's the case. But you might want to check that before you print it over. You're not going to make the morning issue anyway. You were going to ask something, Mr.
I was going to
Curtis?
ask what he asked.
Okay.
What happens next?
Well, I hope I go to sleep, actually. It's been a very long day. You know, we started this morning, we heard about the potential for this earlier this week. We started getting a lot more traffic today, verifiable traffic. I can tell you at least 3 times we thought we had an order in place today, and at least 2 times it went away. So it's been quite a difficult day. You know, like I said in the press conference, we'd rather be, you know, this project is operating, it's employing people. Most people are extremely pleased that it's in our community. We're ready to move on to something else. Unfortunately, we have an obligation for our economic development agreement to protect economic development, protect jobs in Houston County, and that's what we're going to do.
If you had an opportunity to speak with Governor Riley this morning, what would you tell him?
I would tell him, I started to say I'd tell him I hope he brings back a win, but you know, that probably would be lying if I said that. So, I really don't have anything to say to the governor. I mean, he obviously has his position. He's basing all of his actions on his opinion, you know, of what things are. And you know, we're going to do everything we can to continue to protect the jobs of the people of Houston County and the Wiregrass.
Martin, the reality is, if the task force accepts the temporary injunction that was issued by Judge McLaughlin this morning, the reality is there's nothing operationally that could keep this place from reopening in a matter of hours.
Again, that's a question for them, for the operators. But if I were them, I would be open in the morning because you got a bunch of people that need to come to work.
You know, you talk about economic development. Well, the governor seems to think that he's on an economic development project in California at a football game right now. What do you think the difference is between the economic development here and what they're working on?
You know, we've got a lot of economic development going on right here within 100 yards of you without having to spend tax dollars going to a football game. I mean, you know, that's, I'm glad the governor is able to go. I hope he enjoys the game. But, you know, we don't have to go to California to create jobs. We're creating jobs right here in Houston County, and we'd love to have the governor's support on this, too.
Any questions about why they would rate this establishment and not rate others similar to it in the state? Why this?
No idea. I would suggest you see if you can catch Mr. Barber before he leaves for Wiregrass. Ask him.